All right. I'm Vi and I'm an addict. Whew, was it nervous until we got down to it. And my stomach is turning. I ate a few hours ago, so that shouldn't be an issue. I want to thank the committee and my higher power for allowing me to be here and to share my experience, strength, and hope with you all. And I want to congratulate everybody who took clean time. It's amazing. It's a long time, and it's good to see everybody. So I don't even know where to start. I remember I started drinking really young, 6 years old on the res, which was pretty normal. And then that progressed into moving to California, going to foster home, and starting Black Beauties, Purple Microdot, all of that stuff that we used to do. And then it went into volume, pain pills, mixing with alcohol, and then I started selling myself because I wanted to not feel the emotions that I had experienced as a child being in foster homes. I got abused all the ways that could be done. And so I didn't know how to deal with them and being taken from my family. English is not my language. It's my third language, and I didn't know how or even understand what half of the stuff was being told to me. But the body language and the tones spoke to me real loud, and I felt like I was always in trouble. I was not good enough, and I wasn't going to be anything worth anything growing up. And I was the darkest child in this neighborhood in the urban area of the Bay Area in California. During that time, my biological father, had froze to death in South Dakota from alcohol. He got drunk, left the bar, and didn't make it home. Went to the park bench to sit down and went to sleep and never woke up. The same year, my stepfather also died from this disease of drinking Everclear. And after that, my mom lost it. She stopped coming to see us. She started drinking. Her addiction picked up. And I didn't see her for a really long time. Then I started running away, just trying to get to her, trying to find her, and trying to go home. But when I heard my father had passed away, I knew that I was lost. I knew I was never going to go home, and I knew I was never going to see my family again. And I was like 7, 8 years old, and being so far away in another state, I didn't know what to do, so I started running. And didn't look back. I left my sisters, my 2 younger sisters, in foster care, trying to find my mom. I ended up hooking up with this guy while we were in a foster home, and I got pregnant. I was 17. I didn't know I was pregnant until I was like 6 months, and I wasn't really that big. In my mind, I wasn't really that big, but I guess I was. And I stopped doing everything when I found out that I was pregnant. Then I ran away and found my mom, and we went to Seattle, and then she asked me because my breast started leaking, and took me to the doctor, and that's when I found out I was pregnant. So I stopped smoking, I stopped doing the drugs, I stopped drinking, I stopped trying to make any money. I just kind of stopped doing it. But the behaviors and my attitude and the way that I was thinking were still there. So I had my child. I stayed up in Seattle. I did my best to take care of him the first 6 years of his life. When he turned 3, I started drinking again, and I didn't really like weed. I didn't like the way it made me feel. It always made me feel like I was paranoid. Someone was looking at me, watching me, and I just didn't like it, so I stopped doing that. And but my thing was opiates. Man, they made me feel like I was on top of the world. I was invincible, nothing bulletproof, nothing was gonna get through, and that I could do anything. I could do anything. And so I remember the first time that I got so angry because I didn't know how to deal with my hurt feelings. I reacted. I became very violent, and I would hurt people just for the hell of it. Give them one warning: don't do that. And if they did it again, I responded. I always had weapons with me, and I think back now to who that person was, and all I can see what it is: a hurt girl, lost, lonely, desperate, and just wanting to be loved. So I continued that life for a long time, and I ended up in jail all the time. God. It got to the point in King County, everybody, all the COs knew me, and they said my last name. Oh, you came back to see us, and I just say, oh, fuck you, And I know what to do, and bending over and coughing was so degrading. The first time I did that, I felt really little and no rights. I just felt like I didn't exist. But after that first time, it didn't matter. I'll do it all the time, and it didn't, the feelings were gone. I didn't have any feelings. I felt like I was hollow, and I just didn't care. And so I ended up doing what I could to, make money, and again, that included hurting people and taking people's money and their stuff, and for other people, and I thought I got pretty good. And when I would be done with that, like my job, then I would go and drink and hang out with my native people and have a good time. And I would be the ones buying all the alcohol. I wasn't my best customer until towards the end of my addiction. And, I didn't care. I didn't care. And I think about those things, those times, and wondered, how I made it, and for me, that's my higher power, watching out for me, keeping me alive for some reason. And I'm grateful that I had to go through all of that, even all the hard stuff, because it just made me that much more determined, more persistent, and learned a lot of lessons that I don't want to do that negative, bad stuff, and that I can change who I am. And when I was brought back here for the last time, the last few years of my addiction, I was in jail quite a bit. And from here, Seattle and down in California, I knew my life was going to change. I knew something was changing, but I didn't know. I figured I would be in prison for killing somebody or, getting busted for selling to the wrong person and end up in prison for a long time. I never thought ever that I would be in recovery, that I would be alive past 25 years old. And when I turned 30, I was in jail. And when I turned 31, I was in jail. And when I turned 32, I was in jail. So I'm real grateful for the justice system, because if it wasn't for them helping keep me alive every time that I went to jail, it could have been me dying somewhere along the line. So, God, I went to jail. I was in jail all the time. I was kicking dope in jail, trying to make it from one side of the building to the other and not making it because, when I'm going through withdrawals, I can't eat. I can't hold nothing down. I'm cold. I'm angry. I'm pissed. Stay the fuck away from me. And I always had to have they always gave me a bunk on the top bunk underneath the damn light so I couldn't sleep. And the blankets they give you were so little, thin, and they were wool. And I'm allergic to wool. So that didn't help the skin crawling and all of that. So I was pretty miserable for many years. And so when I came back down here to Portland, actually I should say my sister brought me here to Portland, and then she took me to Milwaukee, and she left me at the Fred Meyer's out there in McLaughlin. I'm grateful for her doing that, because I ended up hitchhiking back downtown, getting downtown, trying to call someone because I was getting sick, trying to call somebody to get well, and the police were there. They picked me up, took me to jail again, and I was just, oh man, what is going on? All right, I started learning then really what giving up and surrendering was. And I didn't know that was a word, surrender. Because for me, when you surrender, it means you're weak or you're not doing something right. So I just, okay, all right. I accepted some things that I couldn't change, and I didn't know I was doing that at the time. So when I went to jail, I found out my brother had passed away. He drowned in South Dakota. And so this is how powerful my higher power is that talks to me through dreams. And I dreamt that I was there watching my brother drown, and there was not a damn thing I could do about it. And when I went to court, that was on Sunday, and when I went to court on a Monday, they asked me, what do I think, and I just said, whatever, I don't care. Give me the time. Because I knew I was going to be going away for a while, and I was just, okay. I was getting burnt out, and every time I went to jail, I got well and put on some weight, and thinking I was looking all good, and, had to get some new, bigger pants, and I was, at one time, I was a size 2, and I look at a 2 and I was like, oh my God, I was bone. And I just, that's insanity. That's insanity. And thinking I was looking all hot and all of that, and walking down Pack Highway, trying to, get a date, and jeez. So anyway, back to my sister leaving me at Fred Meyer's. If it wasn't for her doing that and me going to jail at that time, and then I was mandated to go to VOA, and that was in 94. Around April 27th was my first clean date. So I was at VOA all that time until February of 1995, where I left. But I learned a lot of things while I was at VOA in treatment. And I learned that I have a disease, that there's something in my mind that makes me do these things and feel this way when I really don't have to. So when I started learning that there was something I could do to where I didn't have to go and turn a trick, sell dope, go back to jail, not even if I wanted to, I didn't understand that. So I used to go to a rush hour a lot and go there every day faithfully for years. And so when I would go there, listen, man, I couldn't believe these people, they had maybe 30 days without using. How do you get that? How'd you do that? And they keep coming back. Okay. Go back the next day. Again, someone else would say they had 6 months, 9 months, a year, 5 years, and I was just like, wow. All that time, I really wasn't sure if I believed them or not. So I kept going back just to find out. And I started doing all the activities. I went to all of that stuff. I went to area. I joined activities. I did all of the things that we do in NA. I did all of those things just to see that you guys weren't lying to me. And so I started believing, okay, well, maybe it is possible. And there was a time where I was so broken and so hurt. I had 11 months, and I was in treatment this time. Again, I had left VOA, went back out in February, went to Seattle. My PO put a warrant out for me. And while I was up there, I was sitting under the bridge thinking, God, what am I doing? Because I just did a hit and I didn't feel nothing. I was sitting there waiting for something, that high that I was chasing for so long, and nothing happened. So I felt like I was wasting my money and the dope and me. And I was looking out over the water, and I said, okay, so if there is a God, show me. A little while later, 2 bicycle police come down. Okay, all right. Okay, so maybe there's something to this higher power, because I didn't believe in God. I was raised in different foster homes and different religions, so I didn't believe in any of that stuff. And so the police came, took me to jail, and I remember hearing when I went to rush hour, remember your last run, because if you don't, it's probably not your last. I wanted to remember every single part of that, so I didn't have to go back and do it again. I remember the aches, throwing up, not being able to make it to the bathroom, feeling all dirty after I just took a shower, and just miserable. And so when I got down here and went to treatment, I said, I'm going to Welcome to Oregon. Okay, I'm going to do what they asked me. So I went to treatment. I started participating in treatment. I started learning some things. I learned about acupuncture. I learned about holistic medicine, and got the sponsor. And I found a support group. I got involved in service, like I said earlier, and I have done service ever since I've been here. And then they started saying, well, you need to sponsor. You can't keep what you have unless you give it away. How do I do that? So I was terrified that I wasn't going to be able to help anybody else. And then one gal asked me, and she said that she heard part of my story, and she wanted to know how I did it. And so I gave her my number, and she started calling me all the time. And after that, we started working the steps. And then when she got to 12, she said she was moving away. Broke my heart. And I got over that. Got through that, I should say, and then continued doing the same thing. And I know when I asked my sponsor, I know what an honor it is to have earned another female's trust. It's huge, because I didn't trust women. All they did was backstab me, take the guy that had the dope and all the money from me. And of course, I'd beat them up and beat them both up, for him going with her. And so I was able to stop doing that. I was able to heal from all the hurt. These steps have showed me I can heal and I can be better than who I was yesterday. And that I can have a life and that I am worth living for. Today I have a husband that I've been with for, since 2012. He's the only one that I've ever been with for that amount of time. Usually it's 2.5 years or maybe a couple months. It was like, okay, one go to jail, next, and that would go to jail, next, and because that's just the way my life was, that I knew it. Today we have a home. My kids, I got my sister's kids out of foster care. They haven't seen me loaded. I have grandkids that don't even know that I'm an addict. I have 4 dogs that take over our king-size bed. So I have a job, and I've been working for the same company since I had 4 months clean. So, this is the longest thing I've ever done. I've stayed clean longer than I've used, and that's huge. That's huge. So if I can do it, someone coming from underneath the bridge, broken, hurt, not knowing, lost, and if you're here, welcome. You can do it too. You can stay clean one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 5 minutes at a time. Thank you. So, thanks again for allowing me to be here and to share a part of me with you and to get vulnerable, because I did not like that. I didn't want anybody seeing me. I walked around with a raincoat, closed so tight, and then when I opened it, I was full of wounds. That's how I envisioned myself. And today, I don't have to have that coat. And I've been able to heal, do a lot of healing through working the steps. I have the same sponsor. I have a couple of service positions. I don't have a home group yet because rush hour is, lack of attendance went downhill and closed up. So I'm a little homeless at this time, but I go to meetings. I go to meetings all over, just like I went all over to use. It didn't matter where, as long as there was a meeting and another addict, I was there. I was there because there weren't many people like me when I first got here, and so I'm grateful, and I'm glad to see everybody here, and thank you for allowing me to share.